Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hanging with Howie. And before we introduce everybody, we want to acknowledge a longtime sponsor, DJ Event Planner. So www.djeventplanner.com, and you can see that and the rest of them right down below. They'll be highlighted in blue when this is published. And now we're going to go. We've got Buddy. Thank you for being here, Buddy. And as always, we've got Brian and Jay and my road dog. Oh, hey. It's John Colley.
Hey, how are you?
And we have with us Eric this week. So I always ask, people to, if they make it to the end of the show, to leave comments, if you're on topics you want us to cover. So this one is a couple of paragraphs. So let me get my reading glasses on. And it is, how do you field incoming leads? Checking for legitimacy, determine if the gig is a good fit for you, declining the gig in the best way possible when it's not for you. And then, how do you detect spam when it's not obvious, and etc. So for the newcomers or the people starting out, I think this is a worthwhile topic to chase after. Look for the English would be my very first thing.
I thought the same thing.
Broken English is a definite red flag.
Well, if the noun comes before the verb, then or there's missing, pieces.
Or if they ask, "Do you take credit cards?" in the very first inquiry,
that's a huge red flag. Yeah,
I am looking for you to do service. Like,
yes.
Wait, what?
The other big line is, I will like to know.
Yeah.
I will like to know. Yeah.
I think also the phrase, I'm having an event in the town near you. What town do you live in? That whole entire questioning there is another big red flag.
But
you know what town
better. I got one a little while ago and I knew it was spam. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just curious. Let's see if they're still just as bad. And I was like, hey, congratulations. That's really exciting. Where is the party taking place? And they sent me a legitimate address in my town that was just a house.
No, they're getting...
It's like, oh, they're getting a little smarter.
Yeah.
And then it went into the usual, by the way, I'm paying the photographer. Do you accept credit card? Can I pay you for both? And you will pay them by check and blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
right. Yeah. The old check scam.
I think just by responding to all inquiries, if you can legitimize that it's a real inquiry, if they say, hi, I'm getting married at the Hilton in San Diego on this date, how much is your fee? You can at least respond, hey, congratulations, that's a beautiful hotel. You didn't mention the hours, and will you need my service? Start a conversation. I remember, I think it was Alan Berg had said, always try to answer the way you're asked. So if they ask you in a one-line question, answer them in a one-line question. And don't give them like 12 paragraphs to read. But you should know from the first opening of an email if you're a good fit. And if you don't, then you have to ask the right questions. If they say, we're getting married, we're going to have 3,000 people. You can't do sound for 3,000 people. That might not be a good fit.
Right.
It's in an area that you don't normally go. I think you have to be realistic about any legitimate inquiry as an opportunity. I've had, and I'm sure you've all done this too, I've turned people down because I didn't think I was a good fit, but I was professional about it. And I ended up getting booked like a month later. And the girl's like, oh yeah, Maria Smith recommended you. And when I did a search on email, Maria Smith is the bride I turned down. And when I contacted her and said, hey, I just want to thank you. You sent a bride my way. She's like, yeah, you were super professional. And I understood why you couldn't make the event, the travel, whatever. But I was really impressed with you. And I talked to somebody that did hire you and they said you were amazing. So I thought it was only fair to recommend you. So
That's good.
don't get too tunnel vision about things.
Mm. What are some of the other things that that you get, or how you respond to them?
One of the things I do, Howie, when I get inquiries in, and we're just going through real quickly, kind of, bullet pointing the sometimes the humorous questioning you get from stuff to see if it's legitimate. But when I do have a legitimate lead, if I know the venue, I go look at the venue. And is a venue I've been to before? Because if I'm going to answer back, I'm going to say, hey, I've been to your venue before. So he knows, and they know, me, myself, my wife know. They've been there. They understand all the things I got to do for it. So for someone, if I have not been to a venue, I'm always up front with a customer, but also do some research on it too. Googling it, looking at photos on Google Maps. There's a lot of things you can do if you have to do a site survey, so forth, so on. But it's one of the things that having that point of knowing a facility or reference that in a response back to them, say, hey, I've been to your venue before. I know it very well. Great. And if it's a venue I don't service because it's too far away or whatever, I'm always up front, nice, professional, and up front saying, unfortunately, it's too far of a distance unless you want to pay for a hotel or something like that. And, I've gotten inquiries up in Michigan or out in Iowa, and it's like, that's 4 hours away. That's a little bit of a ride, and I don't want to drive 4 hours at midnight going home.
Right. Yeah, I've had the weird that look just enough to be legitimate. And, way back when I was really cooking, working all the time, I got this one inquiry, and it did sound legit. It was the next town over, and I started a dialogue with because they'll ask how much first, and I go, well, that depends on where you are and what you want. Kind of like going to a car dealership, relating to Brian, where somebody walks up and says, how much for a car? And I goes, well, what kind of car do you want? And do you want air conditioning? You want tires on the thing, or whatever. But what I had done years ago was, because I had so many inquiries and, I was working straight on through, I paid $15 a month for a background check, where they'll do the credit. They'll tell you everything about them, where they've lived before, the whole 9 yards. And it turned out that this was a gang, a famous gang. I won't name who it is, but it's a certain color. And I was like, I don't think I want to be in a room full of these kind of people, especially, with booze and whatever else they had going. So.
No, I think you tapped into the right thing. Like, between you and Jay, you both said it's asking the qualifying questions. You find out if you're a good fit. Assuming it's legitimate, you're on to the next step. It's like, now how do we continue this conversation? So,
right.
If they messaged you with the text, reply with text. If they called you on the phone, they like phone calls, do that. Stay working in the line or the lane that they'd rather be in. If it's just emails up until the point where you have to meet to pick up a deposit or something like that, you reply to them, mirror, pace, which is also kind of a car business thing. But you need to find out what they want if you're a good fit, and be transparent. I mean, if they're going to say, we want to do 7 hours like a Caribbean carnival festival, soca music, you go like, I give you about an hour of that, but I don't know if I can do 6 more. Show them what your strong suits are. Ask about the guests. Ask about, because it's not always weddings. Like, well, buddy, specifically weddings, but depending on the type of party, what kind of vibe you're looking for, and find out if you can provide. And say, here's what I can offer. This is the package I would recommend for you that would best suit your needs. Because that's the other thing too, is a lot of times the first thing is, what's your price? What's your price? And where is it? When is it? Those are the things we got to all have on the table before we could put a number on it. because we got to factor in our travel and, how much of our day it's chewing up, how much prep is going to go into it ahead of time. I think that's just heading down the right line with the questioning. Once you've assumed that it's a legitimate lead, those are the steps, in order to take to try to close the deal, so to speak.
What say you, Brian? You're very zen tonight.
I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Oh, I have thoughts. I'm just listening. And I don't want to repeat what everybody else is saying. So I will start with this. When it comes to the scammer things that we've all heard about with the emails and things and Nigerian princes and all that stuff, those types of scams count on one thing. Whoever the recipient is, they're counting on that person to be, let's just say, gullible. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and
I think some people are so excited to get a lead at all, they'll jump through flaming hoops to get it. And they're not thinking with their head. You got to have some common sense in this business if you want to succeed. If you don't have common sense, there's probably something else you could be doing with your time. And you should probably have somebody else, as the lead supervisor on this job. You shouldn't be the person running this company or doing the sales for this company. You've got to have some common sense. So it's very important to exercise that whenever you're taking on any lead. And I will tell you that from my experience, I will not book anything or even start the process without talking to the person. I won't do it.
Yeah.
So, you can email me and text me and all that stuff all you want, but we're not getting that ball rolling until we talk. I provide a custom service. I'm very personable, and that's just how I roll. If you don't want to work with me like that, then we don't need to be working together.
Yeah.
If it's going to be this cold thing where it's just emails and texts, and I know a lot of people like it, but I don't roll like that. I don't care how much they like it. Want to do business with me? You're going to talk to me. If you can't even take the time to call me on the phone, we can't do business. And when you get that, gee, you got caller ID. Does it look goofy? Is it, what's going on here? So you use your head with that. That's the first thing I'll say. And the second thing I'll say is, as far as, the jobs, turning down a job for whatever reason, have a good one. Have a good reason to do it and be honest about it. There are jobs that I've been offered where, and I know Jay has done them as well, and several of you have. I've done stuff like quinceañeras, which, for those of you who don't know, is a 15th birthday party, kind of debutante ball in Latin cultures. And they're usually more convoluted than a freaking wedding reception. There's a lot to them. And I know how they work, and I can do them. But I'm not the best guy to do it. I've got other people say, you know what? In all fairness, if you're looking to do a quinceañera, you should talk to this DJ or that DJ that I know. They're fluent in Spanish. Mi español is no bueno. So I'm not your dude. I'm going to do it in English. And you're going to have to write all your requests down because I'm not going to understand your dialect. I'll have the music, and I know the music, but yeah, we're going to have some communication problems. Essentially, if you've got a heavy, a Spanish-speaking only crowd who are making requests and things. And so maybe I'm not the best person for the job. Can I do it? Sure. But maybe there's somebody else who might be better for you. So I think it's important, and it's hard to do. Your ego won't let you do it a lot, but I think it's important to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And if you are just not prepared for a job, or if you're just feel like, you can be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I'm really not qualified to do this for whatever reason. Tell them. Just tell them, hey, I'm not the guy for the job.
Yeah, I said, I'm sorry. I don't know your culture, and hey, here's somebody else you can call, and I'll
this
pass
person could probably be a much better choice for you.
Yeah,
To be honest, this is being very forthcoming with you. Could I do it? Yeah. Would I be serving you well? That's questionable. I think this person would serve you better. So there are better ways to sometimes get out of a job other than just say, nah, I got to say no to this one. There are better ways to say it, I think. Again, it's tact, it's common sense.
Right.
I think that's very important in what we do.
Well, obviously,
you know.
it worked for Jay because the one he turned down, he got another one out of it. So
Sure. He did it right.
yeah, he absolutely did. So, well, I think, we covered everything on this guy's request. So, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
I will. Every time I get a cold lead from my website, and usually it is, very cold. Like, hey, we're getting married. Let's just say October 31st, right? Are you open? Or are you available? I'll always respond with 3 questions. Where is the venue? What times am I needed? And how many guests? Those 2 questions are going to determine whether I'm the right guy for the job or not. And one, the venue, which we've discussed in prior shows, if there's stairs and, no elevators. And I passed a few off to John over there, but we won't.
That's just because they're far away. Though. There wasn't any stairs, but it was a 2-hour drive.
Yeah. But like, if let's just say it is a venue that that, okay, I don't want to go back to that venue, right? We've all had this. And this is going to help you determine. And also, like Jay said, 3,000 people. Well, all right, I'm out. I'm not, I don't have the equipment to, supply for a concert type deal, And I mean, these are the things that you got to determine whether it's the right job for you. And that's all I'm trying to. I think everybody touched on this anyway, but I just wanted to my 2 cents in anyway.
Yeah.
Howie, one other thing to think about as well is if there's an event, like, again, I just do weddings. And if someone contacts me for a birthday party like that, I need another person to send it to. And that's having people and friends that you can rely on, kind of like what Brian said earlier. He can do quinceañeras, but he's not a quinceañera expert. If someone's wants heavy Spanish speaking person or something like that, he can say some things in Spanish and phrases and understand stuff. But for full-on conversations, Brian, I don't think he's that fluent in Spanish.
So I send it to Buddy, who can't even say the word.
I don't think he's, again, it's just one of the things that, it's just one of the things that having someone who you can turn to and ask for help, I think it's an important thing.
It is. Networking, within your area is very important.
Yeah.
Buddy's got me for stuff. I would say probably north of O'Hare. It's probably, and there's a lot of DJs who are like that. They do with south of O'Hare, but they don't deal with north of O'Hare. So I could take north of O'Hare stuff from a couple different DJs that I know down there. Where me, maybe I don't want to travel, way north in Wisconsin. Maybe I've got somebody I can throw work to up there. Or again, like maybe it's south of O'Hare. I you know what? This is Buddy land. Go down there and do it, buddy, because I'm not the guy. So in the cultural things, I know a Polish DJ in Chicago who's really good. He does Polish events. There's Polish people who want him to do these events. I know Latino DJs, I know Puerto Rican DJs, I know Mexican DJs who specialize in things, Jewish DJs or DJs who specialize in Jewish events. I don't know any Greek DJs. That I don't know, but I know they exist, and I just don't know them.
They own all of the diners in New Jersey. That's why.
Well, they're not the DJs who own the diners, though.
You got one in Cyprus.
I know. My son-in-law's Greek. He's just not a DJ, so nor would he know what to play for a Greek audience. I mean, because he's really an American kid. But yeah, it's good to just have a network of people, and it's going to come back to you too. There's a guy that I know, and he does well. It's weird. He's a bodybuilder. Like a competition bodybuilder. He's also a karaoke host, and he is very popular for the show that he does, where he does these routines. And part of it's like taken from his bodybuilder routine, where the poses and things, but he's not showing off the muscles, but the poses and such. Like he does this whole Mr. Roboto routine, you know, and he dresses like a robot and has the bzz, 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 but people love it. He's very entertaining. He does Tina Turner Proud Mary, dresses like Tina Turner and dances around, and it's very popular. Believe it or not, people want this. You know, it sounds weird, but people see it and they like it. His name's Downtown Harrison. He's done Vegas before. He's a local guy.
Do the robot again. No, do it. All right, I like that. Yeah.
If Harrison gets a job where they just want a DJ, Harrison sends him to me. He's like, look, you don't need Tina Turner, Mr. Roboto. You want a guy who's just going to spin tunes? That's Brian Red. Call Brian. So, you know, if they're looking for more of a performance, Harrison's your guy. Call Harrison. He puts on a fantastic performance. And it's weird to me because he's been doing the same routine for a long time, but people still want him. And they have him for corporate events, and they don't get tired of it. They just like him. And he used to play the casino all the time. Good dude. But yeah, just have these variety of artists that you can work with in your network, like Buddy said. Not only regionally, but you know, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses.
That's for sure.
So,
yeah,
there are events that I'll probably do that Buddy wouldn't do, and Buddy could send them to me, and I'd take care of them, vice versa. You know.
Well, that's also having people that you know and trust, and that goes again. Have that network.
That's your name, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to. When somebody calls you, you want to be able to give them a solid referral. And what's cool about the solid referral is that you never have to sell it. Like if Buddy refers somebody to me, I never have to sell myself to them. Buddy's already sold me. All they want to know is, am I available and how much? That's all they want to know.
Right.
And they only want to know how much because they want to know how much to write the check for, not because they necessarily are price shopping. They're just curious. It's not a make or break thing. And the same thing with Buddy. If I were to say, yeah, you know what, I got a guy, you know, in the Southwestern, you know, Chicagoland who's right there, he could take care of you. They're going to call Buddy, and Buddy's not going to sell anything. Yes, I'm available. This is how much it is. Done. It's nice. It's real nice to network. If you can do it. You can't network with everybody. Not everyone's going to be your friend.
Right.
There are a lot of people in my market that I don't network with. I don't trust them any further than they can throw them. There are good people that I trust and I consider friends. And you know, a lot of people might disagree with me on this, but I think it's important to be friends with the people you network with. Make it all business. I think there needs to be a little more understanding than that. And I think that the only way to do that is to really, you know, have some kind of real kinship with the other artists. Yeah, I mean, do it however you want to do it. But I consider the people that I network with friends, and we take care of each other. And I don't really mess with those who just want to do business. I don't ever feel like that ever has any kind of positive outcome in the end through my experience.
Yeah.
Many may disagree with me, but that's just my feeling on it.
I don't know. I'm with you on that. I would feel more comfortable, you know, being, you know, real friends with these other guys.
Yeah, it's a trust thing.
Like you said, a solid, you know, like, I mean, there's in this area, there's a bunch of guys that are still running, you know, like halogen lamps and, you know, big speakers with the racks and, you know, the amplifiers. And it's like, dude, there's 75 people wedding. You don't need, you know, but that's their almost like a hobby DJ. Like, hey, wow. Hey, I got a quick couple $100 coming my way, you know, kind of thing. So
sure. Well, that's old school stuff too, but I don't know. I'm careful with. I've just been burned too many times when I've tried to reach out, and what happens most of the time is with a lot of these folks, it starts out as a business relationship, but it quickly becomes a friendship, and you know, so it's not like they have to be my friends before I work with them, but they become friends after I work with them and it's successful. That's if that makes sense to you.
Oh yeah.
Off the top of my head, Art. I didn't know Art from anybody.
Art
and I started
Wavy.
working with Art. Well, Wavy, I knew. I mean, Wavy, we worked together at the same company, so I knew Wavy. But we were both working for a multi-op service at the same time. That's how I knew Wavy. But to just start a business relationship, Art, I took a chance. I liked him. I felt like he was a trustworthy guy, and we went with it, and we became quick friends. So he's now the guy that, if I need something locally, if my car breaks down, or, I can call Art. He's my guy. He's going to come.
Right.
Because I can count on Art. If I need a ride home from the airport, I can call Art. He's going to come.
Well, I like what you said before about people being gullible and eager to get that money, and they're young in the business, or just starting out, and for them it's like they're going to grab anything they can get, and then you get burned a few times.
If nobody fell for the scam, they wouldn't do the scam. So someone's falling for the scam.
Exactly.
They would abandon it and move on to something else. Start preying on old people again. But they found a niche with DJs because so many of them are gullible and so eager that they'll try it. Mm-hmm. So don't be gullible.
Well,
use your head.
It's the same thing with the phones. We're getting like up to 10 different, scam things on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's been years, and you're right. If it didn't work, they would stop doing it.
They would stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
Somebody somewhere's falling for it.
Right.
Yep. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it.
All they need to do is get one person a day, and they've got the automated dialers, and they get one poor unfortunate person. Well, they're poor after they get taken, but
If they're blasting out just one collection of DJs from any general area at once, whatever database they've tapped into, if they get one out of all of those, that blast worked.
Yeah.
And they just keep doing it. So someone is being gullible, and it's and I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm just saying that they were pretty eager, and they weren't thinking.
Right.
You got to be smart with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, she's going to be 83 years old. She gets scam calls all the time for dumb stuff. Windows called me and told me that they needed to fix my computer and needed my passwords. And I messed with them for about a half an hour just because I was bored. And then I hung up. She knows, she can smell BS like a fart in a car, but some people don't have that skill set.
Right.
Some people just don't, and they fall for stuff. So my son-in-law, man, he almost fell for an IRS scam. Like somebody was, coming at him like they were the IRS, and they needed to collect money from him, and he owed him. But he had him on the phone for a while. I said, hey, wait a minute, you know what? This isn't right. This isn't right. Come on, what are you doing? And he finally got them to admit, hey, we're in Nigeria. We're desperate. We need money. He had him on for that long, and he got them to give him feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a stupid guy, but he was on the line, and it took him a while. Finally, like, oh, wait a minute, there's a problem here. So it happens to everybody. Just don't be that person.
Exactly. On that note, I will thank you gentlemen for being here. And hey, folks, we'll see you next week. As always, if you have a topic you want us to cover, leave it in the comments below.